your team present, dependable, or loyal? In a recent mastermind with some clients of ours, I really thought a lot about this distinction. It is such a critical distinction for business owners to understand whether our team members are present, are dependable, or are loyal. And while it might seem that they are similar, oh my gosh, after having a really great discussion, I really understood that there is a significant difference between each and every one of them. And that not only will it affect the team's results, but your entire business organization, its future, and the ability to achieve the goals completely depends on this particular distinction. So in today's podcast, I'm going to go over what is the difference between being present, being dependable, and being loyal, and how can you turn people, your team, from being present to being dependable to actually being loyal, and what a difference it can make in your organization. So let's go ahead and start by defining what each of these things are. First, what is present? Well, present means that you hired an individual that saw that the benefits and the opportunity that you had to offer were good enough for them to want that job. They applied for the job and clearly did a good enough job to have you decide to hire them into your organization. And so what happens is once they join, really they join so that they can have some sort of income and a job. However, they don't really need the job. They don't rely on that income to survive, meaning they probably live with mom and dad or maybe a few roommates, and so their financial needs are not really that high, and therefore whether they have the job or not is really not a big deal. What this means is they may be present, meaning that they may come to work, they may not be reliable, they may not come to work very often, or maybe they don't have a problem with being late, or maybe even missing days altogether, and they will just do enough to not get fired, but not really with great level of excellence, and definitely won't put an extra effort in the job. And if at some point in time you decide to let them go, it is not a big deal for them. They just are there present to collect some cash to be able to pay for some of their bills and live the day to day. Now, that is what I would call somebody that is present, even though sometimes that might mean that they're not present because they don't mind missing a shift and they don't think it's a big deal because it doesn't really matter as far as they're concerned. So the question is, does that sound familiar? Do you have employees in your business that sound like that they were hired maybe because you just needed a body, and sometimes that body might not even show up, but at least it's someone that might be on the schedule that you hope that they may show up to work. But once they're there, they don't even do the minimum, but just enough to not get fired. So that is what I consider someone that is present. They are present in the schedule and they may or may not show up based on the needs of the business. Now, let's go to the next level, and that is the people that are dependable. These are the people that are more likely going to come to work. Now, they may not go above and beyond, and if their fellow employees ask them to cover shift that they need, they are probably not even going to consider it, or if they consider it, it's only because they could use the extra hours because they want to go out in a couple of weekends and do something special, and for that they need the extra money, and for that reason they may consider it. So most of the job and the standards that they're expected, assuming that they were clearly defined when they were offered the job, but from time to time they slack off, and in their mind it's really not a big deal. I mean, they're there anyways, right? And so more than likely they may not be the ones that do a no-call, no-show, but they might not going to be as committed, but at least you know that they're more dependable, meaning that they're more likely to be there at work. However, you know that you cannot expect excellence from there. That additional effort is just not going to be there, but at least they're dependable, they are a body, and they're more likely going to be there. Now, they also don't have many friends in the team. They go to work and they may be friendly, but not too friendly, and they don't really build a strong bond relationship with the fellow team members, because at the end of the day, it's just a way to make money, and they do want to do an okay job, but from time to time, if they miss, it's not a big deal. So those are the people that are dependable, right? Obviously, they are higher level as far as commitment than the people that are just present. But do we really want that? The reality is that those team members, if they offer $1 more somewhere else, they're going to take that in a jiffy. And they're going to leave you high and dry because at the end of the day, it's extra money and they're going to be able to use it. And because there's no big attachment to the team or the company, they're just going to go. And so it leaves you, the business owner, and the fellow team members in a situation of not knowing, what's going to happen, of uncertainty, right? Because there is really no true commitment to them and the company. So that's a dependable person. So does that sound like somebody you know in your team? Can you list the number of people that sound that act like that? That's the type of people, the level of commitment that they have in your organization. I'm sure many of us, do have that type of employees in our company. So then let's go to the next level. And this is the one that you want to achieve and dream of and hope that your team members are at. And that is the loyals, right? The team members that are truly caring about the company, that they show up to their schedule every single time, and you know that you can count on them to be there when the schedule says they're going to be there. And if for any reason they're not able to, whether they're sick or there's an accident, they feel really bad about not fulfilling the expectations of the schedule. And if fellow team members ask to support in exchanging, shifts, or maybe being able to have them support them on doing some tasks that they can't, they will jump at the opportunity, if it's possible, for them to support their fellow team members and make sure that the business and the company is covered. Those are the ones that you see that go above and beyond, that not only have they been trained in the tasks that they're responsible for, right? The job description, the things that they know that they're supposed to do, but they actually spend the extra time to really, truly understand what the job is and how to do it with a high level of excellence. The team members that, they continue to learn and grow, and they see the company not as just another job, but as a place for them to grow and maybe potentially have a career. But if not, at least in the time that they're there, they are excited about being there, about what they're learning and what they're getting in exchange for being in that team. They also build close relationships with the fellow team members, and they really enjoy the work and the environment in which they work. These are the team members that hopefully will build a career and are looking at the long-term situation. They basically are in for the long run. They're not going to leave you high and dry because they're seeing how their future can really be launched from that company, or at least be an amazing base to springboard into the rest of their life. Those are the loyals, the employees that are going to go above and beyond and are loyalty to the company, are loyalty to the customers, they're loyal to their fellow team members, and they're loyal to you as the business owner and franchisee. Now, can you name the people that will qualify as the loyals? I'm sure you can. Every business has them, hopefully. And I'm sure you always think, gosh, I wish I had more of them, right? And that's kind of like the goal, And so now that we define what are the people that are present, what are the people that are dependable, and who are the loyals, well, I would say that the people that are just simply present, So the question is, how can you move people from one level to the next so that you can eventually have more people in the loyals than it is in the dependables, and of course, definitely not the present. Well, this is what I would say. First of all, it starts to do everything you can to not hire the people that are just going to be present. And what that means is that your leaders, whoever is going to be doing the interviewing and hiring of your employees, need to be properly trained on how to find who these people truly are when they come to apply for a work for you. Because that's how you're going to be able to determine whether they are going to be just present or at least dependable, if not loyal. And in that way, if you are able to identify right then and there during the interview process, then you're just going to make the choice to not hire them. It requires skills, it requires training, it requires the ability to identify this so that you can make the proper decisions. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a bunch of team members that may just be present. And yes, while they are another body that will help you cover a shift, in the long run, they are hurting every part of your business, including the team that is there that may be loyal and dependable doing the work for you. So now that we have determined the ability to not hire the present, now sometimes we may have hired the present people. Now the question is, can we move them from being present to at least be dependable, right? And to do that, there are simple steps and processes that you can put in place to make that happen. First of all, there needs to be a clarity of job expectations. That that means that every position that you have should have a clear job description of what they're supposed to be doing and what are the expectations of the day-to-day. Because that way, when they say yes to that job, they know what they're saying yes to, and then comes the next step of accountability. If they know what they're expected to do, then you are able to hold them accountable. But if you have not set those expectations clearly, then it's much more difficult to hold them accountable. So once you have set clear expectations, the next step is to train them well and to ensure that they go into the process of learning what the job is. Because sometimes people are just present simply because they were never given even the proper training or onboarding even to have them excited about the company. So if you're not going to take the time to properly onboard them and train them in their job, why should they be dependable and loyal, right? So it starts with what we do and how we onboard them into the company. The next step is accountability. If you see that there is non-performance, we need to address this immediately. Let's not wait until it becomes a big issue for you to make a big deal out of it. The moment that you see something that is not acceptable, it needs to be addressed when it's still just small. So once you do that, then you are able to then move on, and hopefully they will have the opportunity to change their behavior. But if you do not address an issue the moment that it happens, then there will be a repeated behavior of that issue, and then at that point you can't really complain because you didn't address it in the first place. So accountability and immediately addressing any issue is going to be very important. Now sometimes people are just present because they don't feel like they're part of the team and nobody cares. And so as a leader of that unit or district manager, or especially if you're the business owner, doing some sort of team building activities or conversations and communication involving them in the team and the company so that maybe you can bring them into what it is to be dependable and maybe ultimately loyal. But if they don't feel like they're part of anything special, they would not be inspired to do so. So let's do our part as leaders so that we can provide them with what they need so that they can become part of the team and become dependable and ultimately loyal. Also sometimes people are just present because they're disillusioned by past bosses, right? When promises have been made but not kept. When things have been said but not follow through. And here is where the leadership comes into place also. If we're going to promise something, we have to come through for the team members because they need to know that we are trustworthy. In this day and age, this is something that does not happen very often. And so being able to say what we're going to do and do it the way that we say we're going to do it is going to be important. So let's be trustworthy so that the team that we're hiring and is joining our organization can really know that they can count on us. And the last thing that I would recommend to bring someone from just being present to being dependable is to expect excellence. If you choose someone to work for you, it's because you saw something in them that made you think that they could be a great addition to your team. So keep reminding them of that. And don't bend on your expectations for excellence. And remind them that you expect them to be excellent, that the reason you hired them was because you saw that potential in them, and that how surprised you are that they're not behaving as such, and try to be curious as to why that is. People will rise to the level of your expectations. And if you have low expectations, they're more than likely going to live up to that. But how about if you have high expectations? More than likely, people could potentially live up to that. And so if that is a possibility, why not do that? At the end of the day, the company wins, the team wins, and they win because they end up being in a group, in an organization, in a team that really appreciates them. So these are the steps or the things that I recommend to bring someone from just being present to hopefully being dependable. Now, that's an acceptable level. However, you really want to have loyals. You want to have those team members that truly go above and beyond in your organization. And I will tell you that some of the things that you need to do to get them there start first and foremost with having a charter, a mission, vision, and values that are purpose-driven. That is not just about the customer and taking care of the product or the service that you're providing, but a charter that includes them, a mission that includes them, a vision that includes them, and the values that are also good for them. If you do that and you carefully design a charter that has purpose and that inspires them, it is an amazing first step for you to have team members that are loyal to your organization. The next thing that I would recommend for you to build a team of loyals is motivation. Find out what motivates them. Some of them want to have a career. Some of them maybe want more flexibility. Some of them just want to know that somebody cares. And as leaders, we need to take the time to understand what moves and motivates our team. Because if we do that, then we're more likely to be the type of leader that they're looking for. And that is such a great responsibility and an amazing opportunity to make a difference on people's lives. And all it takes is a little bit of time and effort to learn who our people are, to see how we can be the best leader that they need us to be, so that they can be motivated to be with us and become loyal to the company and loyal to us and loyal to the team. Such an important thing. Now, some of these members of your team could be that they want to have an opportunity. And if you are an organization that is growing and those opportunities will come, why not have them understand exactly what they need to do to be able to have open access to those opportunities? That is a great way to build loyalty for the team members. If they see that not only do they have a place in that organization, but that they have the opportunity to have a career and increase their pay and increase their position and have a great future. I mean, what an amazing way for you to want to be loyal to that company. But for them to be able to get there, they need to know that that opportunity exists. So you as a leader, business owner, it's your responsibility to share with them what that opportunity looks like and what exactly they need to do to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And that will be a way for them to go from being dependable to being loyal in your organization. Now, knowing the opportunities there is not enough because a lot of them may not be ready for the opportunity. So here's where continuing development and training needs to happen. Have any type of system or process or procedure or opportunities for learning where these men and women can actually have access to that continuing development and grow as a person, grow as a professional, and grow as a leader. If you, with the opportunity, add the opportunity to also be trained and developed, can you imagine? Why would they want to go anywhere else when they know that right there and there, they're getting what they need to be able to move forward in their life? Most people want to thrive. They just don't see how they can do that because people don't show them the way. So why not be the type of leader that shows them the way so that they can be the loyal people that you want them to be? And the next thing that I would say of how to turn people from dependable into loyals is to be an authentic encourager. Like every time you are with your team, encourage them to be great. Every time you are with the team, encourage them to be better. Every time you are with them, encourage them to achieve and hope and dream and work for a better future. Be the authentic encourager. And whether that means that they're going to find a different path outside of your organization eventually, or maybe the path is with the organization, be an encourager. Some people are ready for the next step within 2 months, 3 months. Some people might take 2 years or 3 years, but as long as you continue to encourage them and show them the path and give them the opportunity and the training to know that they will be able to eventually achieve that goal, they're going to be loyal because most people are not spending the time to have those type of conversations and that type of guidance to the employees. Not because they don't want to, but it's that we are all busy and honestly, we don't spend enough time to stop and think about how can we share these with our employees. And so why not be an authentic encourager that every time you have that experience and every time you're with your team and you have conversations, always be the person that encourages them to achieve more, to be more, to accomplish more, so that they feel like they are special and they are in an organization that appreciates who they are and is willing to give them the opportunity for that growth. And I believe that is how you are able to move someone from being just a dependable employee to being a loyal employee. I think it's such an important thing. And so I would suggest that the next step for you is to take these 3 options: present, dependable, and loyal, and classify your team members. Where do they fall? And if you have a lot of loyals and very few present, then that's a great thing. And, now the work is how do you move them from one level to the next? And this is how you're going to be able to have an amazing, productive, a positive, joyful, and loyal organization that can achieve anything that you want to. Now, I have to say that with that, if you are looking for ways to train and develop those leaders into the next level of leadership and to have the tools that they need to be amazing unit managers and know how to be successful at that level, I would like to invite you to learn more about the American Franchise Academy Unit Management Development Program. It's a program designed specifically for those team members that are either loyal or dependable, but that if they had that training, that knowledge on how to be excellent at the job, would just be able to shine. So if you'd like to learn more about that, all you need to do is go to unitmanagertraining.com, or you can go to our website at americanfranchiseacademy.com and learn more about our programs. And if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe to our channel so that you can hear more messages like this. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.